Welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat Vodcast, featuring candid interviews with practitioners, consultants, and solution providers on hot topics in the information governance industry. Here's your host, Jim Merrifield.
Well, hello and welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat. I'm your host, Jim Merrifield, and with me today is Ryan Gerhardy, CEO at Pitchly. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you in the hot seat, get to know you a little better, you and your company, and what you're doing these days at Pitchly around AI and in the legal market. So why don't we kick this off by having you provide a brief introduction of yourself, your current role, and one fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, I would love to. So I started my career in Australia, actually, in equity research and investment banking, and then moved to the US in 2014, or I like to say 11 winters ago, for kind of obvious reason, and worked at a VC fund here in Des Moines, Iowa, before co-founding Pitchly. So my current role, CEO of Pitchly, we have 18 team members throughout North America. Customers use Pitchly to design agents to create, update, and publish content for the professional services industry. So we'll dive into that today. And currently, customers have 551 agents managing 7.8 million pieces of content, accessible across 8 endpoints, and with live updates from 6.1 billion data points. So starting to compound and see that big data piece, which is great.
That is a lot of big data, a lot of numbers there to
a lot of numbers to digest, and I'll go into that in a bit. One fun fact is I play ice hockey, which I feel is very strange for an Australian living in Des Moines, Iowa, but I love it. Keeps me kind of aggressive off the work site and a little bit more, fun with friends on the ice. And it feels very relevant after the Four Nations tournament this week too, which was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Who's your team?
I mean, I'm between the Detroit Red Wings because they're the only team that I could watch in Australia, and the New York Rangers because I'm always in New York for work. So I get to see them more often than anyone else in person. So
all right,
I'm torn.
Awesome. Go Rangers. Go Rangers. Sweet. So let's talk a little bit about your company. What inspired you to start your company, and how has the vision of the company evolved over time?
Yeah. It originally started, it really to scratch my own itch. Working as an investment banker, saw the repetitive design and the time it took our team to do that was really troublesome, right? It kept us away from the analytical work, the thing that frankly made us money. And instead we were fulfilling marketing requests or pitch book submissions or award submissions. I think there's a lot of people that will resonate in your audience about that. And really, if you say that another way, it's graphic designers, amateur designers, even attorneys or bankers or practitioners eliminating the time they spend refining pixels, aligning, reformatting, ordering objects in slides and documents. It should be automated. And it is with Pitchly today. It's great.
For sure. I love the name Pitchly, having a marketing background. And you're right, in the law firm world, it's a heavy load on those business development and marketing individuals. I mean, if you got 25 practice areas and, about 300 plus or maybe even 1,000 lawyers, you're essentially supporting 1,000 separate companies, or at least 25.
And it's small teams, right? And so I think you asked how the vision has evolved, right? Really, we've moved into doing more work to enable these small teams and being considered kind of that BD resource. And now with the way we talk about Pitchly as an agent that you're deploying, it's very much being part of their team, and you deploy the agent to complete the private equity banker or lawyer or attorney buyer, right? And so you're deploying these agents at a use case, at content level, and then at a document level, so they're done autonomously.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to, I think at the end of this conversation, I'm probably going to ask for my demo just because I'm intrigued there for sure. So what do you see the biggest challenges or opportunities for AI and information governance in the tech industry over the next, say, I don't even want to say 5 years, maybe the next several. So
Yeah, and I have a few examples here. So we launched our first product back in 2018, right? And it was very simple. You fill out a form, you get content. And kind of where we've come and where we've evolved is there's more configurations, integrations, automations. And the way we look at kind of the where AI is going is we look at the three kind of layers of data management. Wendy Dapfeller, one of our board members, the former chief data officer of Salesforce, kind of educated Michael, my co-founder, and I a little bit on. It starts with data management, getting and storing the data and capturing what the firm produces. The second then is governing that, making it permissionable and manageable and to some extent accessible. And then the third pillar is that data enablement. And that's really where we are and where the AI solutions have become, right? Once customers are ready for that data enablement journey and to actually use that wealth of information, it's then finding the AI use cases, solutions, even niche kind of wrappers that help them do that. So a very kind of good example here of a customer we won back in December. So the way that they're using Pixley, they're a top 10 investment bank. So they connected using our out-of-the-box integration into Deal Cloud, which brings in the relevant permission data. So again, that data managed and governed. So they were at that level, but they were ready to enable it. Pixley then designed a prompt in our AI Assist app to then write the marketing description for the tombstone that met their branding need, their tone, and the information, rules, and logic to create that piece of content. So obviously didn't have to. The description was then introduced to an automated workflow for the banker to approve it and for the legal team to approve it for public display. And then ultimately, the Pixley agent also sourced the logos corresponding to that tombstone, to the company, the counterparty, and the client. So the approval process was both the description, the logos, and then the look and feel. And then once it was approved, it was sent back to Deal Cloud, the description, that was a new field, the logos, which was new fields, but then also published to their DAM, the digital asset management library for the marketing team, published to the Deal Cloud CRM for bankers and administrators, and then to PowerPoint add-in, which was upslide for them, so that bankers could access it right in their workflow. And frankly, didn't even need to know that she was doing it, other than approving in an email the content they created. So that's the kind of stuff we see really being that next big opportunity of that niche provider. And that's where I think businesses will get the ROI, where you can select a AI service, configure it like I described, to be an N of one. That's a very specific workflow to that customer, but extremely valuable.
Yeah, I could see that. Now I have a follow-up question to what you just said. Every time a firm or a company selects software, the worry is, what's the lift on IT? So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, say you're a company and you say, you know what, I want to engage Pitchly, I want to deploy it. What's the level of effort on the IT side to deploy one of these agents?
Yeah, and so it varies, which is the worst possible answer, but the truth. It depends. If we're accessing information in Excel, the lift's pretty low from IT. If IT or InfoSec have decided to use our API to write a custom integration, then it's high. Where that client, for instance, we use the Deal Cloud blueprint. We have it set up already in the Pitchly account. We took templates from their website. The setup is really done by the administrator of Deal Cloud. So IT proves the use case, obviously, but doesn't need to roll their sleeves up other than single sign on and allowing that InfoSec review and that governance oversight as well.
Got it. No, makes sense. I just had to ask the question because that's always the question, right? When you want to purchase a product, I'll be at Legal Week in about a month from now, and you'll see all these different products on the floor. You'll come back into your strategic meetings and all these great ideas, and obviously a lot of times, budgets and projects and things are getting really tight for the year. So it might just be a strategic conversation for 2025 with implementation in 2026.
And I think that's where the world is going. If the data is accessible over an API, we can get to it quickly. But that's the question. We build that integration engine and library. I think we can build more of those integrations as needed. But for certain clients, we can jokingly, but somewhat intentionally say on the demo, we implemented your account yesterday. not that we gave you access to the account and trained you, but that we set it up from the blueprint. We know the fields you have in your data architecture that we're connecting to because they're out of the box. We can see the templates and the branding and the styles on your website. Sometimes we can even see the bios downloadable and the tombstones and practice reviews. So we can do the whole thing, Frank. So it is a superpower to be able to connect those dots in the background to make a brilliant experience for our customers.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you talked about these solutions. Everybody's worried about, there's an innovative side, but there's also an ethical side of development of AI solutions. So how do you ensure that your team develops AI solutions that are both innovative and ethically responsible while maintaining strong IG data management?
Yeah, I think I also throw in that kind of ROI. I think that's an after-fact concern, but we look at it very much as giving your customers a choice. So typically we say, do you want to provide a closed wall experience where we just use the information in your account that's permissioned and approved to be used in Pitchly? Or do you want to use an opportunity to go outside that wall and use things like data sets with ChatGPT and use larger LLMs as well? And so being able to toggle those things on and off as part of our service is important. So for instance, our Microsoft Copilot agent that works in Teams and soon to work in PowerPoint can request content and data from your organization, from within your walls and nothing else. So it's not going back and training Copilot. It's simply a one-way feed for Copilot to query our API and get content and put it into that response. On the other side, I mentioned our AI Assist app that can do both. That can go externally, and it can use things like sourcing a company industry code, a NASIC code, for instance, or a GICS code. You can write a company description. You can get a revenue estimate. You can get employee numbers. You can go to the web and find these things, but it can also internally inside the walls do things like write a tombstone description with these 5 fields in your Pitchly account, and can translate a bio so you have a French bio as well as an English bio, and it can reproduce that. So there are things that it's not using external data, it's doing it within the account. And then importantly, we wouldn't use any vendors that would use the information of us or our customers to train that. And I think that's really the LLM's job, is to license that appropriately for the things they are training with, but then let customers deploy them without that risk at all.
Yeah, that's an important point that you just mentioned, that, not using the company's data to train the LLM. And it seems like your product is very flexible with what you point the solution at, whether externally or internally or both.
And I think we've also learned a lot of customers seem to have jumped on this very quickly, or they are still going through, how do we approve an AI solution from a vendor? And so they want everything turned off to start with. And with that configurability, their hope is over time they have the rubric to approve and then can go and do that.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So I know, Ryan, we talked about a lot here. I'm sure we could talk for hours. You definitely intrigued me. I'll probably be reaching out to schedule my demo, learn some more, and looking forward to possibly meeting you next week in New York at Intap Amplify. But is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we let you go?
Yeah, I think my final thought is, I think it's important to make a conscious direction and decision on AI at your firm. And I don't think the time's gone where you can kind of put your head in the sand and forget about it. I think people will get left behind doing that. And the first steps of that, data management, then governance, and now that enablement layer. I think there's a lot of ways AI can be used, even outside of the walls, with our other partners like FactSet or Intap Premium Data, to create content that doesn't need to work with internal data as well. So there's a lot of ways these can be deployed, and the ROI is tremendous. I look at that third kind of, yes, there's the ethical walls and the need to build these solutions in a configurable way for the customer use case. The third side is the the ROI is enormous. So 7.8 million assets managed in Pitchly. If it takes a minute to create a bio or a minute to create a tombstone, that's 65 years graphic design time right there, right? We've seen those numbers 5x from the prior year. and we've seen our data points 20x. So it's only getting bigger and the opportunities there to be taken. I'd encourage everyone to look at these solutions, run them through many different directions as well. And as we discussed, even having internal technical people help can really give you a leg up. Getting trials and pilots or different ways to assess this is key to finding your kind of N of one fit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I could tell you it takes internal marketing and BD teams more than a minute to generate a bio for a person. And probably any company, right? If you're creating a bio page for a new add-on, maybe it's a lawyer or para or whatever, a new business professional, it takes longer than a minute.
And
to do that.
Complex workflows, right? Like it's even like one of the surprising things we find is people join in after a couple of demos. They say, wait, I don't need to make 5 tombstones and 3 bios and choose from 10 different proposal templates. And that's just for one practice area. And all of a sudden you realize not only do you not have to create that, if the deal becomes announced or the template has a change at the template level, all assets are updated with our agent. If a logo changes and you want them live logos, they're changed as well. So you get these real big compounding impacts that we help with content, not just to PowerPoint add-ins, Instagrams, but email templates, websites, etc. So you really do get that compounding effect and that true autonomy, which is great.
Yeah, now people might know this. I got to ask a follow-up questions because I know you mentioned this word tombstone a couple times. And maybe people listening to this understand what you're talking about, but can you explain, like, what are you referring to when you mention tombstone? Because I think right away that I'm going to a cemetery.
Well, you know what? There's a reason it's the nomenclature is a tombstone. And it's, frankly, it's the bane of an existence of me, 15 years ago, I was a banker. The reason that a tombstone exists, so they're a transaction tombstone or investment banking style, and it's really to realize a transaction of securities. And so, I think it was 1934, the SEC mandated that you have to place a little box describing securities bought and sold in the Wall Street Journal for it to be official. And it became and got this kind of reference as a tombstone or a headstone, if you will, because it's a little portrait box with names and information and a date and a deal value that show that. And so this is a very common workflow for transactions, VCs, real estate, etc. But yeah, it's very tedious and it's very branded and compliant, right? You have to know that you have their permission to do these things, to have the logos, have the deal value. It has to be correct and up to date and branded. And it's surprisingly hard to do. The more you get of them, you have to manage this overwhelming library and content.
Yeah, and adding that context, I think was helpful. It was helpful for me, at least. Yeah. I'm hopeful it's helpful for the audience.
Weird, like back in the Wall Street Journal, you needed to post it. There's no other way to say so-and-so had bought so-and-so, but now that still carries through.
Yeah, no, great. So Ryan, again, thanks so much for spending some time here on the podcast, on the hot seat with me. This is really enjoyable getting to know you and your company, and hopefully I have a chance to meet you next week. If not next week, I'm sure you'll be at Legal Week in New York in March. But again, thanks so much for spending some time on the hot seat with me. If you'd like to be a guest on the hot seat, just like Ryan here, all you got to do is submit your information through our website, infogovhotseat.com. And thank you so much. Enjoy the day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Check out our main website at infogovhotseat.com to view our latest episodes and much more.